Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an NMIXX where today we are going to be doing just a really big video on NMIXX. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a slightly different introduction than usual. We have ourselves a guide to NMIXX that we're going to go through today just as kind of like a precursor because I feel like it's really important for us to understand this better. This has been provided by the person who want us to look through the band or the act titled Mr. Bill G has asked us to have a look through this band and it's provided this kind of walkthrough of what this act is about. And I just feel like it might be good to go through this, considering that they put a lot of effort into it, just so that we kind of know what's going on. So apparently NMIXX is a Korean girl group with 6 members. Originally, there were 7 people when they debuted, but Jenny withdrew due to personal reasons and is still a solo singer. I'm not going to go through literally everything involved in this, but I'm just going to go through like the key stuff just to mention it within the video, so just letting you know that in advance. I appreciate what's going on, it's just quite a bit. NMIXX fans are called ANSWER, which is abbreviation for North, South, West, East route, which is the answer. They're a conceptual girl group with the following design. We live in a world full of lies, temptations, falsehoods, and people are deceived and question themselves because of this. So NMIXX wants to be able to find the answer and lead everyone to Mixtopia, which is a world that's absolutely true and absolutely ideal. They developed the mixed pop genre from this concept, and each of their songs is a fusion of multiple genres, and the title song is sometimes more violent. The scenes in the music videos will be even more surprising. So there's just a lot to take in immediately, and I genuinely am fascinated by this. It's always interesting when we try to do new things with music, and I like the fact that we're trying to sort of amalgamate different sort of genres into this sort of like subgenres. I feel like that's not necessarily a completely unique thing, but I like that we're trying to do that here and trying to sort of go up beyond the expectations, I suppose, to an extent. Every time the music changes, the scene style also changes, such as from weird to cute style, from hip hop to dreamy style, and every change symbolizes that NMIXX leads answer to another world for adventure. Their songs often arouse people's polar feelings. Those who like it, and those who hate it are very hateful. But their experimental style has also led to more interesting results, and I hope Logan will enjoy it. So that's cool. I like it. I like the fact that we're immediately like, yeah, no, there's going to be quite a bit of variety here. You know, we don't know what actually is going to go down, but we're just going to see how we like it. And I appreciate that we're aware of the chance, but I feel like as a reviewer, I am open-minded and I appreciate that consideration, but I'm sure we'll probably be fine unless it is really bad. But I've heard these guys before in like live streams, and I think they're good. NMIXX is a dynamic and talented girl group with 6 members with their own characteristics. They belong to JYP, one of the three major entertainment companies in South Korea. Twice as Stray Kids. ITZY belongs to JYP. They promoted NMIXX's debut with the slogan of "They're all round," and here are their profiles. So we've got Lily, who is Korean Australian. And they're the big main vocal with solid skills and ability to control multiple styles of songs. So they're able to do a lot of different sort of like styles, considered to be top vocal tier, and only a few singers are considered to have the ability to compete with her, which is interesting. That's a really bold claim, but I like that. Apparently, they've got great stage presence as well. And so there are like videos of these individual people. I'm going to specifically keep the video stuff related in this to the music that we're reviewing. But it's just great. The commitment to this act is impressive, and I really appreciate that. Haewon, South Korean, she is a sorcerer of timbre. She can freely change her timbre to match the key of the song, sometimes fresh and lovely, sometimes full of power, sometimes soft and different from the timbre she usually speaks. She's got variety within the way that texture is approached. Main vocal, delicate techniques, really smooth transitions of transposition, vibrato, and resonance positions. See, there's a lot of insight and understanding about what makes these musicians special, and I appreciate that. I got to show some love with it. Sometimes you get people who really like musicians, and they focus on things outside of the actual performance there, but you can tell here there is an innate sort of like focus on how it approaches things from like a song or album perspective, and from a performance perspective. I really like that. Rich in expressions and strong stage appeal. Solyoon, South Korean, deep and solid, is full of chest voice, but it can also sing sweetly, should I say, main vocals and dance. So like we're balancing not only our ability to dance, sing, but also to dance. So, you know, as a girl group, you know, need to be able to do those on stage. And I have to be honest, with my limited understanding of groups within this genre, it is incredibly difficult to be able to do all of this. There's a lot of pressure on musicians within this style of music to be able to do it. This is not a universe. This is not like only the specific like niche or area. Most, if all not, most if not all live performance are under pressure, but to be able to, yeah, you got to appreciate the effort that they put into it, the polish there in a lot of situations. Deep Solid is full of chest voice, but can also sing sweetly. So we're trying to niche and sort of have a specific range that we have to sort of help ourselves stand out, help with vocal harmonies, etc. I think is quite good. The most special thing is it can present a rich test charm from the bass to the high tone, and the voice will not be narrowed and sharp when we're singing the high notes. So we've got quite a vocal range as I understand it, which is pretty thin and fantastic. I like that. Yeah, and so again, stage presence is very important for this as well. You got Bay, South Korean, a very special timbre, like a jazz singer's timbre. So we've even got like a jazz singer involved in this group. It's like we've just got specific styles of music that just help to sort of make them stand out, and we're not isolating within one type of genre. This helps us do a lot of different ones. Although her singing skills are not very good, she is very special because she can sing the lowest and highest notes in the group. Oh, so I suppose they were kind of helping them for the lower vocal runs and the higher ones. I get that. That makes sense to me. That's cool. I think that's honestly, like, just to quickly comment on that, I think it can be important to not have everyone be literally the same skill of vocalist in a group if you can allow that person's skill to add to it. So if there's a bit of a rougher edge, for example, like if you've got someone like rockier vocals, for example, that can do vocal fry and stuff in a way where it's not as clean, it's a bit more kind of raucous or raunchy there. That can be a bit kind of add a bit of edge and a bit of like uniqueness to the sound of the performance there and help it stand out amongst the rest and add a bit more kind of range there, which I appreciate. You've got Jiwoo, South Korean, the voice is special with a feeling that a vocal cords are clamped, but it's not. Main vocal rap dance. We've got the rapping going on here. We've got people who have the kind of jazzy type of vocals, and the other person who can do the rapping kind of stuff, which is cool. Those singing skills are not bad, and a special timbre brings a rich feeling to the song. Honestly, lots of love to be able to like combine the rapping into it as well. I think it's great when we can add more to it. I understand that like pop music, rapping's been in pop music for quite a while, but I like the idea of just imagining, without even having heard music, the idea of having a group where someone can do like the kind of jazzy vocals, the lows and highs, someone who can do like the kind of like the more rap-oriented stuff. We've got the entire vocal frequency spectrum realized there. I think that could be quite cool. So I appreciate the actual description there. I think that's really cool. Kyujin, nationality South Korean. Main vocal, dance, rap. Her singing voice is extremely malleable. Her technique is smooth. Her vocal range is wide. Her dance moves are full of power and perfection. And considering her age, she is a girl who is very much looking forward to a future performance. And there's a lot of extra stuff going on here with these notes as well. With the cat-like expression she will attempt to with her eyes on stage. And among the 6 members, her stage expression is the best. Whether it is singing expression or dancing, she can become the center of attention. And then we've got the songs that we're going to go into. So just before we move any further with this review, I am terrible with names, and I am terrible with putting faces to names. I will mainly be talking about what I hear as general comments about the vocals, but I just wanted to talk about the individual singers before we get into this so that you understood I cared about it. It's just, if I was to go through each of these following songs within this very long video and then talk about each singer's individual performance, it would both be incredibly complicated and the video would be like 3 hours long. So I just want you to understand before we get into this, I'll be giving overall comments on the vocal performance across the board. I have listened to an NMIXX song recently. I think I'm looking forward to the rest of it. We're going to listen through each of these tracks from start till finish. And just before we go into it, before we hear what we think, I just want to thank Bill for providing us additional information so that I could learn more about the group beforehand. So, starting with track 1, their debut song. It's titled, what is that? What is that symbol? They're not sure what the song is called, but it's their first one. I mean, for a first track, it's incredibly tight, isn't it? Parallel minor.
하지만 말고 follow. Cause everything is fake, but I ain't afraid. 진짜 시작은 지금부터.
It's actually tremendous. Baila is to dance, isn't it? Baila, baila, dance, dance, etc. I think that's that in Spanish, if I'm not mistaken. Excellent. Sorry, I didn't mean to pause, and I thought. There's like wide open eyes, etc. You know. NMIXX. Interesting, a bit of cinematic sub bass here. Fantastic. So that was Wide Eyes, the debut song from NMIXX. I think this first track is trying to establish that there are a lot of different styles of music. I think that's the strength of it. One of these, like, basically it's the wide-eyed kind of surprised or kind of like taken aback or blown away by their style, the way that they handle things there, the way that they dance, and what they manage to sort of like capture that essence of a lot of different ingredients and make it work with those transitions. I think one of the things that makes it work is that their vocals are consistently on point throughout. We do have different styles here that do match, whether we've got the kind of rocky parts or the more sort of like hip-hop kind of elements there, or the more sort of like synthetic kind of like, I like the kind of low, how do I describe it? The neo-pop kind of sound of like more traditional K-pop sort of like filaments. It's great to have the courage in an opening track, a first impression, to be able to showcase that, but to be able to tell a story consistently over top of it. I appreciate that. I think that the fact that we included some English in there to sort of appeal to a wider audience was kind of cool there. There are people who maybe appreciate the music that are not that don't speak the language or don't speak Korean natively. So it just widens your audience there, makes it a bit more kind of accessible, and you can kind of figure out what's going on from those parts alone. For anyone else, there's a bit more sort of like context behind the scenes if you're more familiar. But I think finally, just instrumentally, you know, it's not just that we sang well over the different components, it's that we showed that we can effectively handle ourselves regardless of what we put forward there. The production quality is tight, but it's also knowing which chord progressions to use, which bass lines, which different kind of instruments to be very authentic to the specific sort of sound. Because there's even changes of tempo like very early on into the piece as well. Like we are adjusting the feel of what we're doing to make it more of a theatrical performance there. And I just think for a first impression, that's fantastic. Really does kind of make you think that you're going to be getting a little bit more than what you'd maybe get, you know, like that is going to sort of blow your mind a little bit. I think it's a given with JYP Entertainment that the visuals are going to be on point. They put a spectacular amount of effort into trying to capture that, but I feel the overall audio-visual experience here made sense and was compelling. We got track number 2 though, Dice. Sorry to interrupt. We'll go back a little bit. I just want to appreciate all those different teasers that the teasing of when you think the track's going to start. Oh, we're going to do a new thing. Oh, we're going to do another new thing. It works together. It kind of sucks you in and plays with your expectations a little bit. I think that's kind of cool.
번쩍 뜬 눈을 깜빡 머린 핑핑핑 돌아 상상도 못한 드라마 저 씬을 찍어볼 타임 이제부터 시작될 챌린지 아마 쉽지는 않겠지 긴장해 팽팽하게 baby Vamos amigo 무한히 펼쳐진 universe 끌리는 카드를 뒤집어 고민은 너 어서 pick it 1부터 N까지 선택해봐 oh oh 기대된다 Right now open it up 저 하늘 위를 surfing 이 바닷속을 flying 모든 걸 펼쳐도 좋아 Are you ready? All in now 시작해봐 과감하지만 태연하게 started Let's roll the dice yeah 한도를 뒤집어 완전히 너무 nice yeah 운명은 있어 나는 baby 눈앞에 열린 세상에 기대해 So tell me what you want where you wanna go
That EQing and filtering is clinical.
Let's go. Big wave, 비어주마. Break it up, 어서 헤엄쳐다. 높은 파도 위로 좀 더 기게 나게 trouble들을 dribble해 pass it. Perfect보다 높은 number. 그 이상을 향해 jump up. 현실 같은 dream은 이제 빠져나와. 깨어나도 수면 위를 날아 fly high.
It's tricky because I'm not always a fan of such dramatic changes, but when they specifically say, let's shake it up or let's change it up, you kind of know you're getting back into that. As long as it fits the narrative, the story makes sense, you got to consider those sort of different chapters. If you can do that, and if it's produced well, if it's performed well, if it's sung well, then I think it works. Why is she scared of the cats? Fascinating. Really fascinating track. We're finishing early like with the previous one. Are we continuing the narrative? Yeah. NMIXX. It's the cinematic soundscape that is put into the headphones at this point. It sounds like you're listening to a movie. It's that attention to detail which makes it seem extraordinary because you don't often get that kind of polish at the end of tracks. Usually songs just end. At the same time as you become aware that it's a product, technically speaking, you also know they're paying a lot of attention to their craft. And again, it's the least of what you'd expect from JYP Entertainment. That's also worth commending. So I think Dice is about sort of taking a chance and gambling on a situation and not necessarily knowing what you're going to come away with. I think at the end, the person maybe wins the prize and it sort of drops it in the ocean and it starts turning into something else. So I'm wondering if they thought they won, but actually it wasn't that. I'm not sure. Either way, I think that the start of the song, one of the strengths of it was that you immediately, you just have all these different instruments that are slowly building up, the different alternate percussions, like the ticking and the foley there, the brass. And then you have like a drum with some of the crescendos, the builds there, and the accented notes there. And then like bam, 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 like you can see them moving as well. It's a very intense experience visually. And you can kind of like hear the sound of a door opening with the curtain closing. And it's that combination of foley in addition to the more intense almost sort of like it's like a setup of the atmosphere of the piece there, like you're going to a stage show there with the brass. It kind of reminds me of New Orleans or something like that from the early 1900s. And then you have again like the woodwinds, the brass, etc., like playing the cute little kind of old school vintage melodies there with the outfits they have as well. It kind of feels like you're going into an old school kind of dive bar and going to play some Russian roulette or some like slots or something like that. It's cool. So what I'm trying to say is that from the get-go, one of the things I appreciate about this track is that it does not hesitate to suck you into it. There's a lot of mystique and intrigue there because of how things are introduced, because of how they tie together, because of the dynamic range. But it's also the attitude of the people involved there, the commitment to the actual communication there. It's like the laughing at the start of the track before we go into that verse there. It's the polish of the vocal performance combined with the charisma of the people not only singing but also dancing along and rapping a lot. I liked the triplets with the rapping parts. There's a lot of diversity within the actual way they communicated, but it was also the expression behind that. It's these things where at this level you'd need it in order to stand out, but this is genuinely one of the more unique K-pop groups that I've listened to in quite a while. I think as a final note, what I appreciate about the song is specifically just how the brass is filtered and EQ'd in comparison to some of the elements like the 808s and the drums and the sound design of it and how things go to the side of the stereo field of the headphones and cans. And the reason I mention that is that it's a piece where like I have some of the most no BS headphones that exist. Like these guys, if you send through a track where it's not done correctly, it will tell you it sounds like garbage. And this sounds fantastic through these. This music's incredibly well produced. The actual quality, the vocal performance is captured really elegantly and efficiently. And the combination of all the other instrumental parts there, they niche really well with little bits of filtering and automation and stuff like that included there from presumably a very, 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 very good music studio. It's quality, it's class. And so you have a track there where we've got more just stage show sort of drama with an immediate musical theme that just for the first 20 seconds alone, you don't even get them singing. It's just kind of building and building and building and building, and then you're ready to go on to the sort of throw the dice and see what happens. And it kind of lifts you up into that. And it just sounds commercial grade. So well done. I'm not sure if I'm saying the amount I feel I should be saying about these tracks, but I feel like a lot of the feedback is going to be kind of similar. Because a lot of the stuff at least is produced at the same level. If it's through all the same studio, they're probably using the same studios there. The style of music, it adjusts, not as much as the first track, but the second track was a contrast. We've got a dash anyways, track number 3.
I wanna run it, run it, dash. I wanna dash. I wanna run it, run it, dash. I wanna dash. I wanna run it, dash. You can't be reckless. The bob's gone to romance.
Great use of an acoustic kit there for a bit of an old school tone.
I wanna dash, I wanna run it, dash. I wanna dash, I wanna run it, dash.
I mean, those vocal harmonies are exquisite. What the interval choice.
I wanna run it, dash. I wanna dash. I wanna run it, dash. Ooh, speed up to the max. Ooh, 심장은 beating fast. Ooh, go out the way. Dash, I wanna run it.
And just that transition, that break with that organ there, not needing to flip to another style there, but just having enough variety with the synthetic and acoustic elements there to keep things reasonably consistent whilst there's a lot of polish and intricacy, but it's also grounded.
I wanna dash, I wanna run it, dash. I wanna dash, I wanna run it, dash. I wanna dash, I wanna run it, dash. I wanna run it, dash. I wanna dash, I wanna run it.
Interesting inclusion of the zebra there. And the peacock. And literally all the other animals.
I just wanna continue my pace. Dash, I wanna dash, I wanna run it, dash, I wanna dash.
That was a really cool way to come back into that theme there, just to have the spoken part. And I want to dash, I want to dash. Just coming back to that after you go up into the clouds, being brought back down to earth.
I wanna run it, dash. I wanna run some more. I wanna run it, dash. I wanna dash. I wanna run it, run it.
Hey, you bastards, I'm still here. JY Park, the Asian Soul. So is the head of JYP, the person who produced it. Crazy. So many people involved in this. I mean, like, no wonder it feels like a film watching these when there are that many people involved trying to get it to that level. It's tremendous. So let's talk about Dash. I think that Dash is discussing their need to kind of, when I've literally gone back a little bit just to get context for it, whenever I step on Become Runaway, they don't want to feel inhibited by the expectation of others. They want to be able to go at their own pace, to dash, to move forward, to make the most of their life, to be able to appreciate it. And I kind of dig that. I think that's a positive message that people who like this band will be able to get behind. I think outside of that, this is a piece where it's a song with one of the highlights is, again, the vocal harmonies, as I mentioned throughout. How beautiful they are with the interval choice there, the extension overall, some of the chromatics, the way we go da 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 da. You know, that just the choice there is such a smooth effect. I'm not sure what else they've done, what other magic they've put in there in order to get that sounding so smooth. But it's wonderful. I appreciate their almost sort of barbershop-esque kind of like approach to that. It works really neatly with like the electric bass and that acoustic drum kit samples there as well. I just think it was a fantastic choice. I also appreciate the intricacy of some of those actual instrumental parts like the drum kit. I thought that the different 16th note grooves that you had on the kit with the rolls and stuff like that were fantastic. It's so cool to have more than simply a quarter and eighth note kind of accent or focus there. It's allowing us to have a bit of complexity and movement with the vocal rhythms and allowing some of those to be kind of communicative with what's going on with, again, the percussion or some of the bass lines they're working off of the beat. And like you have just so much other cool stuff going on in there, but just simply having that groove there in the first place alongside a really sort of like quality kind of performance on the mic there across the group there with no weak points is exactly what you need. But I think finally, the other thing I'll mention about this is that it's so cool to have great use of space. And so like the part we just want to go at our own pace or something along those lines, we just spoke and we had the full attention of the listener because of how after that switch up, which we had again, which I'm starting to notice as a pattern, I think that's cool. We had a moment where that person just spoke by themselves. And it's just so cool to allow ourselves to have that range and diversity within a composition there. We're not paranoid about people seeming interested. Ironically, having a big kind of like movement from like full to less can be just as effective, if not more. So ultimately, I think that it was the quality of the harmonies within the vocals that made this track work alongside some of the instrumental parts like the percussion, different grooves and patterns and fills there on that as well as the rolls. And then it's finally the use of space within certain components there to sort of like make it kind of slide by really elegantly and also create a sense of wonder and interest engagement because of that change, that obvious change within the piece. We've got our stage practice this time, number 4, for Love Me Like This. They're meticulous, aren't they? Like, how do they, sorry. Sorry, I gotta pause. I just want to have a think about this. How long have they needed to work to do this? How long have they been working at their craft in order to get to a point where they're this solid? Like, you can hear them dancing and singing along, and they've got these really incredible vocal runs, but it just goes to show the polish that they have to be able to pull all this off in real time without any help in post. Really intense shift here. And to be able to project their voices like that is fantastic. It's incredible. Honestly, like I was just enjoying watching them dancing. I kind of lost track of the lyrics. I am listening to it, but it's kind of mesmerizing. I think that's the whole entire point of this dancing, isn't it? So the general vibe I get from this track after having another quick listen through it is that it's talking about loving the person the way that they are and not expecting them to be another way. And I think that there's an intrinsic sense of goodness from that. I think that it's a message that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to, and I feel it's positive. Within reason, unless you're a horrible person, and then maybe we need to make some adjustments. One of the things I appreciate about this, and it's like related to the video itself, suppose the audiovisual experience, is just like how they managed to get the words in time with the dance movements, how they managed to deliver the vocal performance alongside when they're dancing, the amount of effort, polish, and precision it takes to be able to get to a point where they can do that. It's inspiring to see how slick it is. And it's not the first time I've watched musicians, including K-pop musicians, do this before, but I am always amazed by it. I just think it's incredible talent. I think another thing that I appreciate this, aside from the actual quality of the performance, being able to nail those takes without any weak points that I could hear there, is the fact that they gave everyone a moment. Now, this isn't something I've spoken about in previous tracks, which may seem to have been quite an obvious thing, as I feel like that's the point of a lot of this music, is to give different people in these girl and boy bands their own sort of time to shine. But here, it's just because you literally are not distracted by anything. You can kind of see one person go in front and the other person does this part. And I think that's just really cool. I think it allows everyone to feel that they're contributing, and there's no ego trip, there's no contest, etc. People aren't kind of fighting for positions or anything like that. It's very professional. It's very just well done and well considered. And again, like it allows more variety within a piece to have different vocal textures and timbres within it at different points. And if you have backing vocals in the mains and stuff like that, it adds a bit of dimensionality to it as well. I think the final thing I want to talk about here is that in this track, a lot of the focus instrumentally, especially in the hook section, was on the actual percussion there, the rhythm, the groove, the kicks, and then like the claps and everything like that, and the cymbal parts. And you had like a bass as well, but there was so much room in the mid range for all this vocal melody and harmony there. That is what I appreciate about it. It could be so easy to rely on other instruments to fill in that gap, but it can also be, vice versa, in the sense that if you are able to like have less is more, it puts more focus on the singers there. So it's really cool. Like genuinely, I just feel like it's a track where we've heard previous songs such as Dice, as well as the debut song, and even Dash, where we've got like lots of different fun ingredients. And we had like a vibe shift here as well in that later section there, quite an intense one, quite an abrupt one, but it's just that we know what our focal point is in here. So I feel like that all three of those things are just fantastic. I haven't had any complaints about any of these songs so far. I think in general they're very, very well done. We have Run for Roses, the performance video.
We're alive cause we're not alone. Hand to hand, you know we won't let go. Run for roses. Oh, yeah, 불가능해도 저는 you fight back. 불안한 현실에 던진 invitation. 불만 가득한 표정으로 we're back.
Interesting. There's lots of guitar and pop music nowadays, eh? Capitalizing the amount of country music in 2024, I suppose. I like this part the best. Is this scatting? No, it's just automatic bio. If you get this close, don't lose it. 지속된 고요에 울리는 방아쇠 당기는 소리에 start it. Run for roses. Run for roses. Run for roses. Run for roses. Feel like 'cause we're not alone. Run for roses. Hand to hand 두 발을 맞추고. Run for roses. Our hearts go dum dum. I mean, like it was a fantastic dance performance there. No, they handled that really well. I mean, I feel like I've got a feel for how they dance now and how they sing, their vocal textures and timbres. I feel like there's a great consistency there, which will be the first thing I sort of talk about in a moment. But just what is this track about? When we say we run for roses and we talk about being side by side and not alone, are we saying that we run for roses, that we run for roses and we run for success? I don't think it's literally love, as in the applause of success. We run kind of like Dash almost, where we're just talking about like moving forward at our own pace to find success and together as a group. I like their vibe again. I like that vibe. I think it's great. I have no complaints about it whatsoever. What could you do to improve it? Honestly, like I'm not sure. I think story wise, a lot of this stuff has been wholesome. One of the things I appreciated about this track is the use of the guitar with the fiddle in that interlude there, very segmented verse and bridge part. Moving into a point where initially I wasn't super familiar with like what was going on in it. It was just such a blunt transfer, but it works. It does kind of include some of those picked arpeggiated stuff. There's almost some like a Middle Eastern kind of like melodic harmonics minus kind of stuff going on with the melodies, and then you've got kind of an unusual bass line underneath there, but it's great. It has like a weird kind of weird kind of major tone, even though it's minor, and then there's like a diminished like kind of edgy chord at the end going back into the guitar riff. It just somehow works there. It's a masterstroke in terms of actual songwriting and composition there. Just the way we go between those is very impressive. I think another thing that I appreciate is within the bridge going into the chorus, we go from like a swing kind of groove with the da 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 da, that kind of like fiddle playing the melody over top of us, kind of dancing into clapping, like kind of like almost like a hoedown or something like that, right? To go from the swing to straight 4/4, almost like reggaeton, dun 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 dun. No, definitely not that. No, never mind. Just ignore it. Scratch that I said that. But it's like a completely different style of music where we're not telling people that we're switching anymore. We're just doing it because we're confident enough that people will expect it. And I just think that it's impressive that we're able to get that to work as well there. When it's a blunt entrance like that, it works because of that. I also want to give a shout out to the complexity of the actual guitar riffs. Like they aren't simple guitarists to play. We're not just strumming chords or like playing harmonies there. We're kind of picking those riffs there and doing interesting like slides and hammer-ons and pull-offs and stuff like that. And it's just great to trade off to a fiddle and then have like the electronic part underneath it be a bit heavier. It's just it's kind of innovative and experimental in a way where it doesn't stop. And it's almost kind of makes you wonder, okay, if we're going to a point now where mainstream acts are being this kind of wild with their choices and inclusions, what's the excuse for people outside of that, you know? And why not? Why don't more musicians try to do stuff like this? And it's just, I think part of it is the way that they carry themselves is very, very good. But it's also that they are just so confident with it. They don't kind of like second guess themselves. They put a lot of work in as per the dance videos, this performance video, very polished. I've said polished a lot. You know, they seem like they've put a lot of time and effort into it. No weaknesses, and we just have another really intriguing piece there with some interesting design decisions and solid production. We've got some live performances now, I think. This is See That from NMIXX. What's the budget for this? Like I'm looking at the crowd, you can just look at the stage and you just see how much effort has been put into making this the way it is there. It's mind-blowing, dude. It's mind-blowing. It's so, so cool, man. You type, and what I like about, sorry, I'll try not to interrupt too much, but I love the crazy, dude. And the crowd is absolutely loving it. So this song, See That, kind of, I hear it. I think that the song is about maybe seeing them or seeing what they're capable of. And they talk about at one point staying out of their way, etc. So you kind of get the impression that they're more authoritative. They're saying, look, you cannot hold us back. You cannot take us down. You have absolutely no control over the situation. We're just going to be who I be, and you have to accept that. More of the positivity, it's dope. I think part of what sells it is that really authoritative guitar riff with the distortion there, that bit of heaviness there, that bit of kind of sass and sizzle to the tone there. Adds a bit of fire to it. Makes it almost like the use of the minor scale there adds a bit of danger to it. And it sounds great. Another thing I want to sort of give a shout out to, just in terms of actual feedback for the overall sort of situation, is the fact that we are allowing ourselves to see the entire backing band on stage, as well as NMIXX, as well as the dancers. I just think it's so classy when people do that. The people who are playing the instruments deserve, they deserve at least like close to as much love as the main performers on stage. Sure, don't have them as the focal points, but have them visible so that people can see what they're doing. Because nowadays, with the way that music is, you can practically get like AI to make an entire instrumentals for you now. So seeing that people are playing their instruments, that everyone's jamming, there's a sense of chemistry between the members, etc. That it's great. It sells, and I especially love the drummer, who was just sitting there behind the entire rest of the band. They're just kind of slapping along and having a good time. I think that's great. That's great fun. It's good stuff. I think the final thing I want to mention, and this is maybe a bit more minimalist than some other songs with feedback that I've given, because a lot of the feedback at this point is relatively similar. You're going to find that the next sort of like 7 tracks after this or 8 tracks after this, it's going to be similar feedbacks. It's a lot of it is, I doubt that we're going to see massive differences in the quality of the vocal performance or the way that things are produced or anything like that. But I specifically appreciate that question mark chord that the organ plays around the 37-second mark. This one here. Without knowing what the song is about, you're like, whoa, what is happening? What was that thing? And then you look at the title, see that, and it's almost like we were discussing the thing there, and the organ is letting us know that that's a thing that we need to pay attention to. So it's those little clues from a compositional perspective that can elevate a song and make it more meaningful. I just think it's really clever stuff on behalf of the act. They clearly know what they're doing at this point. We're about to get into their album, FE304 Forward, which is the last of the FE304 albums. I'm looking forward to checking out some of their more recent material. Again, I've checked out High Horse the other day, thanks to Bill again. But it's good to have checked out their previous stuff, and if the new stuff is on par with this, then we're in for a good time. I feel like I should say more about this track, just because this feedback section for the song specifically has been very short. What I will say is that I enjoyed when there was that sort of sweetness with the thank you part. I feel like that could have been quite positive for the audience there, having them say thank you, almost showing a bit of appreciation for their work there. It's great. Apparently there are multiple versions of the song as well. Before we move on, there is, according to Bill, there is the original version, there is the jazz version that appeared from Tiny Desk, the rock band version of the end of year stage, and apparently there's a rock version of this, and then the funny version of the Korean opera. So it's great that they are not only having songs that work very well for them, they're able to sort of customize them and get them to suit different genres or styles there, whilst having a similar message. So well done. But yeah, we're into the new album now. This is titled Know About Me, the music video. New music.
Let me show you that, know about me. That's the show you that, know about me.
What? I'm sort of like taking in a lot of this. Part of me was thinking how much of this is like real set design and how much of this is green screen. And I don't mean that in a way that diminishes it. Like the quality is clearly there, but like, you know how like in lots of music videos they'll use like green screen and stuff like that for those things. Like how much of this is that? Or are they literally having like half a dozen different sets? kind of groovy just from an instrumental perspective.
show you that, no I'm mad. But show you that, no I'm mad. No all the time, 주지 마. I have no doubt, 이제 나라. Let me show you that, no I'm mad. Let's show you that, no I'm mad. No all the time, 주지 마. 우리가 덜 못하나.
I mean, it's beautiful imagery. It really is just like a movie. I'm trying to figure out how it applies to what they're discussing. Kind of wondering whether they're trying to figure out who they are before they go into space. Maybe they're facing their fears before they go out into the great beyond. You know, I think that's kind of what this track's about, Know About Me. Either way, I think it's more about maybe what other people know about them. Maybe they're addressing that, or alternatively, you know, there's a bit of nuance there. I think what I like about this song, first of all, to continue with this third album, because their first album was the first one of the series, the FE304 albums, was Break, with the title song Dash, Sonar and Run for Roses. The second one is FE304 Stick Out, which featured See That and other representative songs of Beat Beat and Love Is Lonely. So this is FE304 Forward is the last album in the series. So this is the third album, the end of the trilogy, so to speak. I want to give a shout out to the production quality. It's exquisite. Like, they have been meticulous with the way that they EQ'd, filtered. They spread stuff around the stereo field. Their sample choices are wonderful. It's so dicey. Like, they're trying to get volume, but they still manage to allow a whole lot of really incredible low end with some of those bass elements and stuff like that in a way where it just sounds so clean. It's such precision there. It's such, and I sound like I'm glazing, and it's because I genuinely feel like some of the best production nowadays comes from music within genres like K-pop. It just does. But it's also the catches that show you that, again, being in English to sort of like go to a wider audience, but also just a da 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 da, and then so that there's like a, because I sure as heck can't sing it, but there's a cool response there in that chorus section, which I also like. I think it's great to have the oscillation, the sort of dubstep kind of like synth background there, with the kind of like R&B kind of clicky elements there with the kit, and then you just have fascination going backwards and forwards there throughout that. I think it's really, really kind of catchy and really like slick sounding there, and it's more of a consistent sound across this track. Like when I compare some of the other songs in their earlier works, where it's very different. This seems a bit more kind of like conservative in that regard, but I think it still has enough variety compositionally, because when it takes away the drum kit later on there, it allows it just to kind of go with the 808 or the bass synths for a bit, and you are left to kind of hear the vocals floating, and there's like a doom, 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 which still kind of goes half time and has an interesting offbeat like kick and snare pattern. But we do, it's like we aren't going for different styles this time. It's more we're just trying to get as much real mileage as we can out of the theme, doing as much differently as we can with instruments that make sense together. But yeah, no, phenomenal use of the stereo field as well. Some of the production elements there, the vocals and the sides and color responses. I got lots of love for this. It is a different style of EQing and stuff like that as previous ones, but I love the polish to it. I've said polish so much. I like the shimmer and the sheen of it. Yeah, no, it's a great song. It's great music, for sure, absolutely. A fantastic reintroduction to the album after High Horse, but I think we've got another track next from it. Here we got Slingshot, track number 3 off the album.
You can't stop me. I'm going so far.
And this is kind of cool. So with this video, you've got Lily, and it has Haiwon, Seolyoon, Bae, Jiwoon, Kyujin as well.
Slingshot, 편히 미 포착. Hit the limit, don't stop. High speed, I'm a slingshot. 내겐 없어 ultra. 완벽하게 돌파. I can make it so hot. High speed, I'm a slingshot. Slingshot. Aim up, ain't no stopping me. 던져봐 날. 시선은 사타야. 저 너머를 봐. 어디서든 next turn. 맞춘 내 맘이 0점. I know. I'ma do it. 당겨 좀 더 커져가는 tension. I'm going up, getting better. But I'm not afraid. Yeah. 이제는 I really know.
There better be a payoff.
slingshot 목표님이 포착 Hit the limit don't stop High speed I'm a slingshot 내겐 없어 오차 완벽하게 돌파 I can make it so hot High speed I'm a slingshot
I feel like they went too far with this one. Like instinctively, like I can tell that we're really going for the progressive stuff with this one. There's just a general not wanting to commit. Like there's a root note. Yeah, it's an A flat. So the A flat root note there. So like
1, 2, 3 golden snitch 같이 quick 난 아쉬운
it'd be a G sharp minor, B major, G sharp minor, I suppose.
passing by you 안심은 yeah don't just lose it's my time 더 자유롭게 fly forward 이제는 I really know how to play slingshot 한계까지 쏘아 멈추지는 몰라 high speed I'm a slingshot 추진력을 모아 높이 날아 soar high I can make it so hot high speed I'm a slingshot 알지 big bang back 중이야 봤지 big bang back 중이야 No one beats me down no doubt 멈추지 않아 like a slingshot usually falls usually
That transferred and resolved.
끊임없이 가속해 끝없이 rush usually falls usually I can make it so hot high speed I'm a slingshot do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
No, I didn't like that one. I didn't like Slingshot. I'm going to explain why I didn't like it, but I'm going to talk about some stuff that I liked first. So I think the individual, I think this track is about being quick enough with what you're doing to fire off with ammo to kind of get to where you need to be, that you make it hot, that you're a slingshot. I'm not afraid. I really know how to play, etc. You don't have to worry about our abilities here. We've got it under control. Don't let your guard down. Don't you snooze. It's my time, etc. It's kind of like a lot of the previous tracks where we've talked about how we're going to go at our own pace and we're not going to let anyone sort of slow us down. And we really are wanting to make the most of the opportunity that we have present and to not sort of like discredit or diminish their potential. So individually, I think their vocal performances were very well done. I've got nothing but love for the way that we approached those at all. I think that we handled ourselves well on the microphone, showed really solid vocal technique and our head and chest voice. And I think that each musician, you could kind of understand their own sort of individual approach there. You could identify them and you go, okay, I know who's doing what. And I understand that they've got their own sections here and that's fine. This is a song where I wasn't sure because of some of the kind of like the discomfort harmonically with some of the edginess of those harmonies and interval choices there between instruments and the vocal parts. I wasn't sure whether it was like a sense of danger because of the unease that's presented. They're like where it's dangerous because of the slingshot and it's almost like it's a boss battle about to go off. But then there are some unusual major leanings there that were kind of subtle in certain components, but also confusing because of that. So basically, I sit here as a reviewer and I think, what was this song trying to communicate to me musically? And I think it was trying to allow each singer their own sound. And I just think it was just a little bit too complicated for what they're necessarily trying to represent here. I don't think that it was done poorly. It's just for me personally, I just don't get it. I just don't think I get it. I think that the fact that it was not a complete mess is due to the fact that they managed, they were probably self-aware of how chaotic it was. And that was a deliberate decision on their part, considering the previous track, Know About Me, was just far more sort of straightforward stylistically. So it's cool that we're trying to really commit to that kind of like, oh, switch up. I almost feel like it was better when we were more sort of like vocal about how we're going to switch up here, because this seems like we're switching just to give a lot of different perspectives, but with a similar message. So I'm not sure I kind of put it together, but still, I mean, there are a lot of ways in which this could have been done. It's like literally just confusing. That's basically it for me. I still can kind of get them individually. It's just putting them together that's hard. But I think we've got the next track here, Golden Recipe. Interesting. Oh,
Don't you know my golden recipe? Yeah. Secret ingredients that interest me. Yeah. 우린 중간이 없어 I don't know where. Yeah. 마구 세상을 휘저어도 파는 hurricane.
is Know About Me meant, because that's got a music video, right? Is Know About Me meant to be a more moderate take for their single, and the rest of it is just absolutely insane?
Give me that, yum, yum. Profit, cook it, serve it. 조금씩, 조금씩, yum, yum. It's so yummy. Give me that, yum, yum. Profit, cook it, serve it. 조금씩, 조금씩, yum, yum. It's so yummy. From my head to toe, 뜨거워지는 heart is beating, burn to be new. 원해 처음 보는 plating. Give me that. 뜨거운 옷감에 반응 식지 않고 blazing. Up's appetizer, 바로 시작해, you ready? Don't you know my golden recipe?
That's a key change in it.
That interests me. 우린 중간이 없어 I don't know where. 마구 세상을 휘저어도 파는 hurricane. Give me that, yum, yum. Perfect,
Oh, you.
serve it.
They're very coy about it.
Yum, yum. It's so yummy. Coming through, attitude. 맛이
Yeah.
흐르는 just dripping like glue. Uh-oh, 이건 본 적 없는 방식. Give me that. 전에 없는 mixture 감당해볼 테니 blended. You know what's worthy 잘 빠짐없이 싹 다 pouring. Don't you know my golden recipe? Secret ingredients that interest me. 우린 중간이 없어 I don't know where. 마구 세상을 휘저어도 파는 hurricane. Give me that, yum, yum. Prep it, cook it, serve it. 조금씩, yum, yum. It's so yummy. Give me that, yum, yum. Prep it, cook it, serve it. 조금씩, yum, yum. It's so yummy. Make special mixture. 뻔한 건 빼고 yum, yum. Hey, 이리 와 어서. Give me some of that yum, yum. Make special mixture. 뻔한 건 빼고 yum, yum. Hey, 이리 와 어서. Give me some of that. Wanna taste my golden recipe? 가득 넘쳐나 good chemistry. 어떤 설명도 unnecessary. 한입 더 해서 더 필요해 여기 set the play. Give me that, yum, yum. Prep it, cook it, serve it. 조금씩, yum, yum. It's so yummy. Give me that, yum, yum. Prep it, cook it, serve it. 조금씩, yum, yum. It's so yummy.
You got the alarm sounds in the brah. Brah, ba, 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 brah, brah. I don't know. I can't do it as well as that guy can. I feel like what's the word for it? And I mean this in a kind of a less kind of a, not a serious way. It's like the mildest form of Stockholm syndrome, where like I've been with this group for a while, and we just got presented with the previous track Slingshot, where it was quite a lot, and almost like I can kind of look into the lunar planes and see how this song, with the way that it goes between two main notes. Yeah, okay, I've got some feelings about this, but first of all, what do we think this track is about? So I think the song is about the way that they make their music, the way that they combine these different styles together, but also the way that they put literal food together. Maybe, I'm not sure. It's like a kind of allegory for it. I mean, like, there's a million and one ways to be kind of straightforward. And I think that when you're this experimental, especially some of the music on this album, such as Slingshot, I think it's kind of cool to feel brave about it. I will give credit where credit's due. NMIXX is probably one of the more progressive K-pop groups that I've heard, period. I think that they're doing some really cool stuff here. And I just think with the previous track, they just cooked a little bit too hard. They may be overcooked. With this one, I liked most of it. I think that the bra and the way that I'm automatically trying to pick up on a key signature or like an identity for it, that's important, because what it kind of indicates to me is that there is a ceiling, a foundation, a floor, where you think, okay, we've put this sample in, but then they add another element, and then there's like another bass note or key sig, and then they kind of cement it to another one. And throughout the song, it kind of goes between two main notes. Bum, 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 bum. But it's a very they're very kind of like it's either this or that. Like they have their own identities in regards to the note choices and the chord progressions and stuff like that established. So they're very unique. And I think the last time we went from one to the other was the time where I was like, okay, if we do this one more time, I'm going to start not liking it as much simply because I feel like it's kind of played out a little bit. I don't have complaints about how the song was structured because they it was a 3 minute track and I think they knew themselves how much they could get away with it. Having that final sort of like there kind of like fade out, like kind of continue out a bit more. But it's just they're really that string section was a ballsy move. That kind of like violin there was a ballsy move to have over that. I can kind of understand it has a kind of like a rustic country aesthetic to it, like the old school kind of cooking in the oven, etc. And it also kind of makes sense when you think about the fact that they're adding different ingredients elements together. And a violin set wouldn't typically go over like trip or hip hop drums with an 808, but they've done that here, and so I get it. So in terms of the golden recipe, I think it shows their finesse, not just from like an actual structural perspective, but also a compositional one that they were able to know to have two different key signatures, pop between them with a brah, in between is like a sample thing. There is a bit of foley, a bit of background aesthetic. I think that it was also good to not have the bass the whole time. And I say that because there's quite a bit of the bass. Like the bass was it was a front and center. Like you could definitely feel that 808 in the headphones, even with these guys. So I imagine with like actual proper speakers, the bass would be intense with this one. Things are EQ'd diligently enough to a point where there wouldn't be issues with kind of like separating them within a production perspective. But yeah, no. So I think that to comment the use of structuring as well as knowing when to have the bass and when not to have the bass and allowing ourselves two different key signatures to go between, knowing enough to have is kind of worth two things, I suppose. The final thing I want to mention just before we finish up with this track specifically, the structure of these tracks, because I know I've mentioned that they couldn't have gone for longer, but it's how every single song we've had so far kind of knows the amount of itself it needs to have. Even the previous track that I wasn't so fond of, Slingshot, it knows that around 3 minutes is between a 2 to 4 minute sweet spot. And it kind of like just commits to that. It goes in and then it goes out. And I've seen very few exceptions to that throughout the songs I've listened to today. It's like kind of bits of popcorn there. Most of the tracks have gone by relatively quickly. Some of them have been a bit longer just because I've been either needing to sort of figure out what's going on there. But I suppose as a closing comment, I think that with this final album of the three, I get why they're trying to do a bit more. And I think that there are some really cool ideas even in Slingshot. Golden Recipe, I just feel like it made a bit more sense musically to me. And I appreciate it. I don't really have any complaints about this one. Again, it's like very much subjective. It's like I didn't feel 1,000% comfortable with the way the chords progressions went, but I appreciate that it was possible. We've got Papillon, Butterfly. Production in 2025 is wild, dude. It's wild, man.
몸에 걸쳐있는 graffiti 벗어 던져 사뿐히 관심 없는 맥거피는 take that fall I do is struggle 손을 잡아 번지 하늘 깊이 점수 끝은 몰라 can't stop to the top 손좀 멀리 날 대신 너 내뱉는 것 everyday hit beat beat but crush 그래 넌 끝이 아니야 on my mind 외형까지 take 그릇이 너 내뱉는 거 everyday 삐삐삐 빠 crush 그걸 난 do what I like 더 거치게 숨을 내뱉어 조심히 더 무너져도 놈들이 삐삐삐 빠쳐 Dream like Papillon I'm feeling myself cause I'm alive
And that was Papillon, Butterfly. Okay, track number 5 off the album. What do we think this song was about? I think that it was about someone, or this group, talking about how they are not going to allow themselves to be weighed down. They are going to make the most of life. And they will work harder even if there is pressure on them, that they will not be broken by that pressure, that they will go beyond that and kind of continue to push forward. And yeah, it's cool. It's a cool story. I mean, there's probably more to it, but that's what I got on the first listen basis. I think one thing I appreciate about this is a lot of the interesting vocal processing techniques there. We have like pitch shifting and modulation effects change on them. They change the relative pitch to it, the sound of them, the textures, the sides. Some of them on the sides of the stereo field there. We mess with the perception of them because we're comfortable, that we're familiar with the vocalists enough to know how they sound when they are sounding differently, to recognize that. And I think it just makes things more intriguing when you play around with those. So that's cool. So the vocal processing was solid there. I think here there was just a really lush tone, especially that chorus section there, the misty reverbs there, the synths in the background were really dope. And I like the way that the bass played around it underneath there was a bit more precise there, not just a generic sort of like 808 there. Like, not that they have been generic, but just like it's kind of more focused. It was more targeted to juxtapose with the kind of mistiness of those synth pads. I think that the drums underneath are nice and punchy, and they add a nice sort of like, they sidechain really neatly and add a great sense of groove on the quarters. And I just think that you get that contrast, again, as with previous tracks, with some of the other songs where you don't have those pads there, you simply have a bass and drum focus, with occasional maybe like call and response and stuff, but like having the vocals the focal point. It's just a really easy way to establish dynamic range. There's an interesting pad with a flutter to it, which I appreciate. But yeah, no, it's really well handled there, I think. And it just as a final note, it's just, I think with this song, it's just how we had subtle adjustments that just made more sense to me from like an actual sort of structural and thematic perspective. I think that you can add different instruments and adjust sort of like tones and expectations without it being too abrupt if it's meaningful. Granted, what I will credit is that at least with the Golden Recipe having that kind of violin string section there, I can kind of understand the kind of the image it puts forward and the fact that we're talking about these different ingredients to be able to mix them together for Golden Recipe. It's that kind of confidence, proving it by adding that in there, which is fun. And with this one, I'm not necessarily sure as much how the music relates to what's being discussed with it. It seems a bit more sort of like Know About Me, we're a bit more sort of, again, conservative with it. But ultimately, I just feel like the actual transitions between this one were a bit more sort of like balanced, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, no, really cool song, this one. Again, like, I like progressive music. I just want to stress before we move into Ocean, the last song of the album, I like all sorts of music. I listen to music that's deliberately bass boosted, progressive as hell, and it's some of the coolest stuff I've heard, even if it's difficult to listen to because it's so loud that it literally gives you a headache, like it's so overly compressed. I'm open to variety, which is why I think I appreciate a lot of the music that NMIXX has put forward in the first place, especially as they're an act where they are doing something kind of rare as far as I'm aware. It's just, I'm just trying to be, I suppose, if anything, you can trust that I'm being sincere with this feedback because I'm not just consistently being like, I like all the things. I feel that's important as a reviewer to be sort of transparent about that. We got Ocean, track number 6 off of the album. And you have the waves. And you have the waves.
내 마음을 접어서 눈을 감고 누운 뒤 어디든 날 맡기지 잔잔한 리듬에 다 좋았다 난 마르지
angelic harmonies though, dude. So breathy.
외딴 섬에 홀로 머물던 나를 깨운 ocean over and over 난 너에게 잠겨 'cause I'm drowning in the ocean of your heart 내 안에서 꿈을 꿔 파도 치는 pressure 어디로든 for sure we go 넌 내 맘에 들어온 ocean An ocean 넌내 맘에 들어온 예상 못해서 이토록
See, this is where I am okay with the adjustment of a theme here very quickly because this seems like a new chapter. There is a new baseline or a sign behind that. I like that. It makes me wonder what's going to happen next. You have like a little bit of a dip in the intensity. Oh, here we go, something new.
빠질 줄 알아 mistakes my heart is beating a feeling 점점 커져 멈출 수가 없어 for real over and over 난 너에게 잠겨 'cause I'm
Really elegant descent into that lower key sig. That was gorgeous, just having Fusion at the end by themselves, just by themselves, just having their own moment in the spotlight there. I love their use of space. I dig it. This is probably one of my favorite tracks off of the album for several reasons, which I'll go into in a moment. I think that this track is about a deep love that you have for someone, like the waves of the ocean rolling over you. The anchor that was cast down to you, my heart tilted, I fall deeper and deeper. You can tell that that person is connected to them. There's lots of imagery there lyrically about that, the depth of that love, etc. The connection that they have there. It's beautiful. It's a really nice, sweet song where I think it's the last track off of this album, and I feel like it's just a nice, balanced way to commit. I'm not sure if it necessarily rounds out the trilogy particularly well. I almost feel like that last song, Slingshot or Golden Recipe might have been the last one to have done that. Sort of infer there's going to be more, but I'm just not sure. Either way, I think that the story is compelling. It's more kind of like conventional. There'll be an audience for it that'll kind of follow along to it. One of the things I appreciate about this track is just how well they can just sing the soft, sweet stuff. They just have great kind of breathy vocal performances here, and there's an elegance to the way that they communicate and express themselves. Regardless of who's involved in there, they sound like they're selling the mood that they're trying to insinuate. And it's just very authentic sounding. And it's just very pleasant to listen to for that alone. So I really appreciate that there by itself, but for other things as well. Like if I was to discuss the actual kind of the triplet flow of it, dun 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 dun, that kind of the waltz is kind of like we're dancing through this experience that we have there. The way that it cascades and things move up and down, and we have the key set go up and then back down, then and we kind of flutter back into that. I like how the imagery alongside the rhythm and the meter of it kind of encourages a sense of romanticism throughout this piece. It's gorgeous. I mean, like there's keys in there as well, I suppose, instrumentally, like an acoustic drum kit with the bass, etc. There's a lot of color harmonically in the mid to upper range with the vocalists. Every singer has their own spot. And I suppose as well here is that I kind of appreciate as a final note that we are comfortable not having a lot of the kind of like modulation, the effects on our vocals, the pitch shifting, etc. that we had in previous tracks. We can sing well regardless. I mean, this was evident from like the which one was it? Love Me Like This, right? I think Love Me Like This was like the actual video of them dancing, right? But they were singing as they went along with that. They could clearly sing. And so it's just great to have some songs where we have them just purely sort of like sing almost like a balladesque kind of format, a more kind of traditional poppy thing. Whilst in other songs, maybe including some of the more sort of like modern stuff, like again, like the rapping and like the tuning and like some of this sort of electronic EDM-ish kind of elements there. They can do whatever they want. They're clearly successful musicians and fantastic vocalists, and as we talked about in the initial part, like they have different ranges and different specialities. But I think that that's something that is actually really good because that's kind of the purpose of like a big group like this of different people is that you get their strengths and you have a greater sum of the parts. It's successful because of that. So I think that overall, even though I didn't like everything about this album, I nonetheless appreciate the effort they put in to make it compelling, and I think that I think it's a good album. I think it's a really good album, and I can understand why people who love this NMIXX, I can understand why they'd be happy with that album as well. Now we have four more tracks, four more. We have the High Horse Stage Practice. No microphone. Stage practice. Just camera radio.
Sick of that high horse, I just can't take it no more. Thumping, apart, I'm low and far. I'll let you watch you wash, right about who you are. They can, their lies are here what's inside. So let's ride to the front line. There's something 'cause I could catch it. Oh, don't leave. Turn the bell meant to be. Heartbreak, you don't want to get shit anymore. Run away.
I mean, the shuffle, the groove of the rides on that kit are fantastic, man. It's so chaotic though. Like, don't get me wrong, it may just seem like I'm just kind of sitting at the screen looking like, but I'm actually absorbing everything that's going on there, much like I suppose literally anyone else. I mean, again, like this is similar comments. We'll talk about what I think this track is about really quickly, but yeah, no. What is this track about? I vaguely remember, because I remember like reviewing, I think, the Spotify version of this. Again, thank you to Bill for requesting that at the previous live stream. I think this track was about someone who is got with high horse like expectations. They don't want to be weighed down by them. They love that person, and maybe they're realizing that maybe they're not good enough, or that person doesn't think they're good enough. Perhaps there is judgment involved, people on their high horse, etc. Either way, it's causing a sense of pain and grief, and that they're trying to reach out to that person. And it's just, I think that's what the song is about, if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely wrong. It's difficult without translations or subtitles. But like either way, part of what I liked about this is very similar to when we watched the Love Me Like This performance here, the one without the microphone, just like them actually kind of like sing it. It's that they can hit these notes, and they can not only do it, I can tell they're actually singing, because there is a phenomenal amount of projection coming from some of these singers. Like, they really know how to sing. They just belt it. It just goes out. They know how to push that power forward in a way that is stunning. And I don't really know what you could do to improve it. I think that what we need to remember is that it's difficult to sing well, and to be able to not only, but also be able to dance like that, but also be able to express yourself while singing properly, while dancing. That is the triumph. That's a triad, triumvirate. Yeah, that is the triumvirate. I was worried I wasn't using that word correctly. The three important things: being able to express yourself, as well as to dance, as well as to sing. Because people can dance or sing mechanically, but to be able to sort of sell it, that's really difficult, and they do all three really well. So I think another thing I appreciate about this track is the beauty of the piano melody going with the breaks there that we have with the vocals in those verse sections there, kind of having break, then drums and stuff, break, then drums. And then a sense of like kind of animosity kind of being done with it. Boom, boom, with the Phrygian mode, with the flat seconds as well in the later stage. I just think it's really cool juxtaposition thematically with the two parts of the track. I think it's a really cool idea there compositionally. It's again, like, there's a little thing. It's a very subtle adjustment. It's much more subtle than a lot of other tracks I've heard within this really long video at this point. But I enjoy that. I just think to be able to kind of go between those in a way where it still feels heartfelt and matches the mood and the purpose of the song is to be celebrated. Finally, I think I'm just going to commend the fact that they were able to not sugarcoat the post-production of this. I think that being able to just hear them sing like that, it's additional to them being able to do it well. It's that for a lot of studios, especially nowadays, there is this innate pressure for it to sound quote unquote perfect. And it can be brutal. I think that the musicians in NMIXX, and as well as other bands, they work extraordinarily hard to get to where they are. And I think it would almost be an insult to expect them to kind of like sing as well as they do. And then just to have someone go, oh, okay, we're just going to slap auto-tune on the end of it. I mean, I don't care if there is or not, but you can tell when they do these like videos that it is raw. It's stage practice. It's not over-corrected. It's not oversaturated. It's just them doing their thing. And I feel like it's almost equally compelling to having them on stage. It's like intimate in a weird way where it's like you can actually just see them being people as opposed to people, like professional musicians. And I dig that. I just think it's really cool. I understand why they're doing it. For a social media perspective, allowing things behind the curtain is just fantastic, and it shows they can actually do it, and that is just tremendous. That is the power of acoustic performances. That is the power of this kind of stuff, because it's all well and good saying that you're a musician and you can play instruments and stuff like that, but unless you actually show what you can do, what's the point? And they nail it. They do it very well here. And now we have the live version of Know About. Like, it feels like polished, like they've planned this, but it doesn't feel like they're doing it just for show, if that makes sense. I don't know. I've completely misunderstood what Know About Me is about, haven't I? I've just realized listening through that again, kind of absorbing it, is a very, very different. It's like, I just want to pause for a sec, right? We're going to go back a little bit. Just the way we're kind of like taking, like kind of asserting ourselves on is fantastic there. We're sitting there and we're being on stage and we're singing our microphones and we're by the stands and everything like that, but it doesn't mean we can't approach. Phenomenal drum fill, by the way. The percussion in the song's mental. I mean, there's two drum kits two alternative drum kits behind it. So let's talk about this real quickly. Okay, so this was Know About Me, the live version. So I've already spoken about what I think the track is about, though I will iterate that it is adjusted since last time, because I heard that time that they were looking about sort of taking a dive with someone else. Do they want to get to know more about that person? Do they want to fly up in that spaceship into the sky with them, etc.? It's take the leap of faith. That's what they were talking about. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I kind of scuffed that and I messed that up. I will take the loss for that one, the massive L on that one. But aside from that, a few other things I liked about this performance, as I mentioned, is that it's just nice to just kind of still maintain stage presence whilst not really moving too much. Like they're kind of grooving around and dance and having a good time. They can be just as intriguing and entertaining when they're just singing into the microphone and you just kind of can see them individually kind of figuring and working stuff out and having their own sort of like sense of uniqueness in there. They don't feel the need to be like the other person beside them. They are able to be themselves without being restrained or constrained within reason, I suppose. In addition to that, the bass line underneath this was fantastic. I like that we didn't just stick to the root notes. I like that we were able to sort of like explore the range of our instrument, of the bass guitar, and be able to sort of play within the modes and scales respective to the chord progressions within the composition. I thought that was fantastic there. Really cool stuff. And it was also tight to the point of the groove when it needed to be. But I think finally, it was the drums. I mean, some of those drum fills, the work on the toms was just so tight. It was so on point. They managed to keep a fantastic sense of groove and pace with the tempo with the 16ths. But then there was these 30 seconds and these triplets that were just tremendous, dude. They were succulent. It was so cool to hear not just a really fantastic group of singers kind of doing their thing, but we also had musicians that were just thoroughly comfortable exploring their respective bass and drum instruments as well, with the sort of proficiency to do so. And it's great that we had that amount of range within our track to be able to do so. We had balance there, both performatively and compositionally. You know, well done. It's just awesome. Really great performance. We have two more tracks out of the 15 today. We have Hey Mama, original song by David Guetta.
Best believe that when you need that, I provide that you will always have it. I'll be on that, keep it in check. When I need that, I'ma go and take it. Chin the drum like somebody day. I love to punch you with some new play. I wanna hear you calling my name like hey mama, mama, hey mama, mama, hey. Banging the drum like somebody day. I know you want it in the best way. I wanna hear you calling my name like hey mama, mama, hey mama, mama, hey. Yes, I do the cooking.
I came back down.
Yes, I keep it on the real sweet for my liking. Yes, I'll be a boss and yes, you'll be respecting. Whatever that I tell you, cause the game I'll be spitting. Just believe that when you need that, I'll provide that you will always have it. I'll be on deck, keep it in check. When you need that, I'ma go and take it.
Sorry to interrupt. Is because that was initially sung by Rihanna, wasn't it? The song. I know the song might be from David Guetta, but like, didn't they initially sing it? Didn't Rihanna initially sing that? So the fact that they sing Rihanna is phenomenal. And that subtle riser, dude. And that's a low note that's kind of difficult to hit, so they did it well. Sensational. Really well done. That was really cool. Does it continue beyond that? No, it just has that kind of thing for a little while. So that was Hey Mama from David Guetta. Now this again, this isn't an original song from NMIXX. It's about a woman basically owning, herself, her own actions, staying confident, etc., doing everything you want to do. Both like literally just being their own sort of like boss, their own sort of queen, but also knowing that if you need them, that they'll be there for you, and the way where it's mutually beneficial. So I think that it's a cool song. The story makes sense. I don't necessarily enjoy David Guetta's music, but I like Rihanna's vocal style, and I think that typically it's very good when that appears. So I think the first thing I want to mention is that to be able to sing like Rihanna is very difficult. To be able to capture the essence and the attitude of that is very difficult, but I think that they managed to do that here for the most part. Across the board, it was sung well. They hit some of the high notes that we needed to, they hit the low notes that we needed to. It's just a great exploration of that range there, and they've seemed very comfortable doing that is the most important thing. Like, it's one thing to be able to sing, but to be able to sort of like do it whilst dancing, whilst kind of having that sense of like energy about it, as I mentioned in the previous tracks, it's just fantastic. I think that another thing that worked really well here, just from the actual composition perspective of David Guetta's song, is the use of the rises and the builds and then the drops, etc., the way we kind of go up and down. And that dynamic range there, that adjustment there insinuates a sense of compositional diversity there. It's exciting because you don't know where it's going to go next. And the way that the dancing kind of worked with that was really cool. I think that accentuated it. It wasn't just that we were singing on top and kind of staying close to the mic. We were able to explore as well. Finally, I just think the way that we rapped with the kind of use of the hand drums and the kind of alternative, more traditional percussion there, with the flow and the precision of the English. Because this song was entirely in English. That's actually something I want to mention. If English is not their first language, you wouldn't know it. They sang incredibly well and rapped incredibly well in English. And so it's testament to their experience and their commitment that they're able to communicate effectively within that medium. So shout out to them as well. I wouldn't have known that it wasn't their first language for the most part. I thought it was very, very believable and very convincing. So ultimately, I just felt like that was a great cover. I liked it. I still like the Rihanna version a little bit more, but I think it's a different experience listening to this as opposed to listening to Rihanna's one. So I don't know if they're necessarily totally comparable. So we have one more song though today. This is Love on Top from Beyoncé. Let's do it. Let's go. Another cover, a live cover. Oh, that synth is fun.
Honey, honey, I can see the stars all the way from here. Can't you see the glow? Knowing the pain, I can feel the sun whenever you're near. Every time you touch me, I just melt away. Everybody asks me what I'm smiling up from here to here. Nothing's perfect, but it's worth it after fighting through my tears. And finally you put me first.
Well done. Well done. Okay, so just before we go any further, Beyonce's are really difficult. That's difficult to cover Beyonce well, but I feel like they're putting in a good effort here.
You're the one I love, you're the one I need, baby, you're the one I see. Come on, baby, it's you. You're the one that gives your all. You're the one I can always call when I need to make everything stop. Finally, you put my love on top. Ooh, baby, put my love on top, 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 top. Put my love on top.
Ooh.
Tastes like a night of champagne as I kiss you again and again and again and again. Now everybody asks me why I'm smiling out from ear to ear. But I know, nothing's perfect, but it's worth it. After fighting through my tears, and finally you put me first.
Oh. It's very 80s, by the way it's composed and produced. And key change. Another one? Woo! Chills. That was a difficult note for Selyun to hit, but they did hit it, and I've got to commend them for that. Good move. Holy crap, that was amazing. That was honestly one of the best performances I've heard from them. Like, you could kind of see the pendulum swing into Lily near the end because they could hit those notes more cleanly. But I just want to give a shout out before we go any further. It's kind of spoiling one of the things I appreciated. It's just how well they tried to cover this. The song is about someone basically in ecstasy because of the love they have with the other person. They're having a tremendous time with them, drinking champagne, they feel on top of the world with that person. And there's a phenomenal sense of joy and love. And it's like things keep going higher and higher and higher with the key signatures because of that elevating feeling there. It's an incredibly well produced and well written song from Beyoncé. And I think I've heard this one from Beyoncé before, and I understand why it has been covered. I also can hear that this is an incredibly difficult song to sing. So this simultaneously one of the reasons why it's great to have a group so that you can focus on people's strengths and kind of give them all their sort of time to shine. But I think it's inevitable and invariable that you will have a certain range which is preferred by different musicians. And I'm glad that we had people who could step in and do what we needed to do in order to hit those notes cleanly without there being any issues. So shout out to everyone involved. Lily, Haewon, Selyun, Bae, Jiwoo, and Kyujin, they all did well here. In addition, the neo-soulish 80s aesthetic with the synths there, the brass, the bass, the keys, the drums, etc., the kind of groove, the swing, the kind of like funkiness of it, the kind of playfulness of the rhythms and the staccatoed chords and within the harmonies, and the way that you had a sense of like melodic unison there between certain elements of the motif. And it's really slickly written. Like the complexity of those chords there are just very classy, but like is a sense of euphoria and with the major tonality overall. And just so you've got a nice, phenomenal tone to the wide variety of instruments that are included within it. You know, every instrument has been captured eloquently and respectfully. There's just the bass alone, just a huge tone to that, a nice sort of sizzle to it. The drums sound nice and full and punchy, but not too overcompressed. And the keys sound very nostalgic and authentic too. They sound like they're from the 80s. Like literally, they found an instrument and brought it forward 20 years. Just the way to capture especially like the synth leads and stuff like that. The way that we managed to bring that forward is really surreal, but it's just due to the expertise that's evident from everyone involved with this, coupled with just the fact that it's just written in a way that is timeless, I suppose. What I want to mention, I suppose, as a final note, is that I think at this point, being able to sing a song like this kind of indicates this act can basically do whatever they want. It's one thing to deliberately go towards the niche of kind of trying a whole lot of different styles and kind of amalgamating them and getting these interesting creative kind of like these golden mixes, these golden like kind of like tracks there. What I like about it is that we are really trying to do some really sort of special sauce kind of stuff. We both allow ourselves to be experimental and to commit when needed. I think I'm rambling at this point. Let's just talk about this track, as well as all of these more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion. Welcome to the conclusion of this really long video, this deep dive into NMIXX. Now, this has been recorded all in the same day, aside from the first part with the the little kind of like text intro provided by Bill G. I'm only saying Bill G because I'm not sure if they want their last name mentioned in this video, but I just want to say, first of all, that it's been a really fantastic experience. It's not the kind of video I do often. I think the last time I did a deep dive was like a Zhang Yuxing video, and that was 7 hours long. So it's been quite a while since I've looked into a musician this much, or a group of musicians this much. But I just want to say before we go any further, with this conclusion section, I'm not going to be talking about any individual songs, just my overall thoughts on the group as a whole. I want to, first of all, I'm not even going to talk about what the songs are necessarily about, because there's always different themes, lots of different styles. There's basically, if I was to summarize an overarching theme with this group, it's a self-awareness of their abilities as musicians, the way they create music, their journeys as people, as lovers, as friends, their ambitions, their position in life and their careers, self-confidence and being enough and not allowing ourselves to be trapped in a cage, etc. There's just a lot of self-confidence stuff, self-affirming stuff mixed with love and feelings and emotions and connection and a great sense of gratitude, I think, and awareness. And also at times a sense of you're not going to stand in my way no matter what you do. And I love that. I think that's beautiful. I've got nothing but love for these messages that are put in these songs. I think they're incredibly wholesome and meaningful. And I can understand why they have an audience. I think it's difficult to really discuss the vocal stylings of the group, but I have to, in a sense, because I just want to give an overall comment that they sing fantastically well. I think the strength of NMIXX, as well as a lot of other girl and boy bands, is that they have specialists within each range. They can all they dance incredibly well. They can express themselves in a way that makes sense. They sing really well and rap really well in English as well as Korean and potentially other languages, I'm not sure. But whenever you hear them, you feel like you're going to have a good time. And they can sing regardless of whether it's a live performance or on a studio album. You hear them and see them literally doing rehearsals without microphones. It's just a raw take, and they belt it. They have presence. They can project. They clearly have been trained in a way where they not only have a career now, but they'll have a career in the future because they're taking care of their vocal cords. They have a great chemistry with each other. They seem like they feed off of each other. I love it. I think it's incredibly well done. I listen to them and I think, wow, these are musicians who really know what they're doing, and I feel confident if I hear another NMIXX track, I'm going to like it. With exception, I didn't like every single song within this. I feel like if I was to give an overall comment on the way the songs are written, as well as the instrumental choices here, because there were just too many instruments. Like with this kind of music, it's very kind of pick and mix in the sense that even more so with NMIXX, because they love having lots of different genres and adjustments in the styles and tones and textures. They will happily go from key signature to key signature in a moment's notice. They initially, with the earlier stuff, as we found out, they would switch and be a bit more kind of like gentle with it, but then later on they did not. There were songs like, if I'm not mistaken, Slingshot, where they were just very much like, this is the sound now, this is the sound, this is the sound. And there was a limit for me personally as a music reviewer where I was like, I'm not sure if this is benefiting the actual musicality of the performance as so much as it is showing what they're capable of within their own styles, their own aesthetic, etc. And if I just want to sort of like mention, if that is more of an attempt by them to show what each musician would like to have their part sound like, I think that's great. I also think it's worth noting that I just don't have the whole context for these tracks, and so I've got to be careful when I make comments, because if I don't understand everything about the story and what's going on, in situations like this, if there is music that doesn't make sense, considering at the level that they're at, it's probably me who's wrong. And that's just a sense of just admission that I have to accept as a music reviewer, that I'm not always right about what I say. And it's why you got to critically analyze stuff, the best you can, but have as much information as you can. It's why as a music reviewer, you've just got to accept that you're not always going to be right about everything, and you have to be rounded and grounded in your approach to stuff. You just can't take for granted that you're going to know everything. And so I appreciate that we're trying to do things like that. I think it's really cool. Ultimately, it's just great that we're being experimental, trying to sort of like have songs that have more than one style, because I think that if we can pull it off in a way that isn't too kind of abrasive, as with the vast majority of the stuff within the set, it's worked well. I do appreciate some of the diverse compositional variety within earlier tracks, but I also appreciate some of the more kind of like smooth tracks within these more recent ones. There's pros and cons, but look, they can perform well live, they can perform in the studio, they can sing and dance, and they can do everything they need to. There are no weaknesses that seem accidental or unintentional. That's very much a kind of like a, we're deliberately doing this and this is the sound we want, and you're either going to like it or you're not, and I've got to respect that. The level they're at, the producers, the composers, songwriters, instrumentalists involved, they're not making mistakes. Some of the work across the instruments, such as some of the drum fills, the bass parts, they've got incredibly talented musicians involved here. And it was just so much fun to actually hear a lot of different ingredients in this NMIXX. It's just I love it. I think that overall the studio production, recording, mixing, mastering was just wonderful. And it's commercial grade beyond that. Especially most recent album, although I like the charm of some of the older stuff as well. I feel like it was all cinematic, and I hope that whatever they do, they continue doing what makes them unique and what makes them happy. Basically, if you've come to this part looking for a conclusion of these 15 tracks, it's very difficult, because the conclusion would be like half an hour otherwise. But what I will say before I go is thank you for watching this review of this deep dive, this mass review of this 15 tracks from NMIXX, from what was our first song? From Open, the debut song, all the way to the cover of Beyoncé, which they absolutely smashed, titled Love on Top. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias. And I'm sure there is a YouTube page for them and stuff like that. I'll have all the social media links in the description. Stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. Thank you to Bill for getting us to check it out. I really appreciate you sending this through. I'm really glad I got the chance to be able to check out this music. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.